Hi, I'm Maddie Sly, and you're watching You Choose News.
As the sun sets in Flint, Michigan, there's been so much going on this week, from the debates to Wayne State, protesters, and still the Flint water crisis. You Choose caught up with it all. Have you heard or are you familiar with the Flint water crisis?
Yes, it's a tragedy.
How long do you think realistically, 5 years, 10 years, how long do you think it's going to take before it gets fixed?
The topical fix, I would say, could happen within the next couple years because we have like the eyes of the nation in the world, right? It's like we have a fair sense of popular outrage. We have people are very aware of it. But I think that kind of like the underlying issues is just like what we're investigating Snyder for, as well as sort of like the systemic racism and like sort of the systemic. I'm a communist. So I see the stratification of wealth in society and kind of like the reinforcement of the aristocratic class. So kind of like how long before we have an equal society? That's a big question. But how long before like the actual Flint how long before the water is drinkable? I think that's a quicker fix.
How long do you think it's actually going to take to get the water crisis resolved?
10 years, 5 years. Hopefully not that long, but yeah, it'll probably take a while.
A long time. Like, I feel like it would take at least a year, half of a year to a year.
Oh, this is a tough question. I wanna shoot for 3 years. I'm gonna shoot for that. It's gonna take 2 to 3 years to absolutely fix it.
Honestly, I like to go and be optimistic and say 5, but considering the American government, probably 10 or more.
And what about Detroit schools? Though they're not making mainstream media as often, they're still a big part of what happens in this community. How are you feeling about DPS in the Detroit public school system?
This is terrible. It is awful. Growing up in the DPS district, there's always been a lot of problems as far as the teachers, and them not being paid. And I feel like they should be paid because there are so many youth out here, especially in Detroit, in our urban area, that needs great teachers, and because they're not being paid, the children are being penalized.
Who do you think is suffering worse, the teachers or the kids?
That is a very loaded question, and honestly, I can't give you an accurate answer because I feel the teachers are supposed to be there for the kids, but if we're not there for teachers, then it also ends up hurting the kids in the end. So it feels like the kids end up suffering the worst brunt of the punishment.
Ooh. I'd have to say the kids because, it's their education that's most important because, yeah.
I think it always has to be the kids. I think you always have to shoot for having students because it's their education, their future is kind of on the line, and if they can't get it, that's kind of sad. But I can't blame the teachers.
Absolutely.
I can't blame them.
Ouch. That's a hell of a question. I think that there's a certain altruism that's required on the part of the teachers, but I think that we should be spending more money on education. I think that we should be making it a higher priority. So it kills me that you say who's hurting more, the students or the teachers, because those are the two people who we want to be sort of like most comfortable and most able to do their work.
The kids, because they're not being taught. I understand the money, I do understand that, but there's a lot of teachers that are very, I want to say spiteful as far as not getting paid what they think they deserve. So there's a lot of children not being taught because of their emotions.
Toy Creole, You Choose News, once again in Flint, Michigan. So right now we are outside of the Whiting Auditorium where a Democratic debate will take place shortly. Now behind me, protesters. Common themes for today, the Flint water crisis, a fix, and minimum wage. Now we could be inside, not freezing, but we are outside in the streets and we're talking to people. Tell me, what brought you guys out to protest today?
We're both social workers here in the area, so we believe in standing up for our community and what's right, and so we feel as though this is a great opportunity to do so.
Awesome. What don't people know about the city of Flint?
There's a lot of beauty here. We have great people. We have a great community. We have a beautiful cultural diversity that happens here that a lot of people don't know about. I mean, we're standing right in front of the planetarium and our Flint Youth Theater and our art museum, and I think that's something that not a lot of people know about, that we have just this huge cultural background here.
All of the faces that you'll see in the pictures all around here are people that have been affected directly by the lead in the water here in Flint. So it's really just putting a face to the problem.
In order to move on from the water crisis, what do you feel like needs to happen?
I think that we've made some pretty good steps. Like, for example, they've just opened up eligibility for Medicaid for 30,000 people who weren't eligible for before, and that's going to allow children to get services that they weren't eligible for prior to the Medicaid expansion. So that's great. I'm a social worker, and I work with children with mental illness, and so this is going to be able to get them services that they weren't be able to get before. But I don't think that that's the only solution. I think there needs to be more progress being made, getting these children to services, getting clinicians trained in what lead poisoning looks like and how it's going to affect these children long term is really important, and being able to recruit more clinicians in the area, not just social workers, but psychologists and teachers and doctors and all this that are specially trained in lead poisoning and how it's going to affect our children, I think is essential in order to move forward and to make sure that these kids are taken care of.
How are you?
Have you ever heard of me before? I'm Rocky De La Fuente. There's 6, 7 of us left.
Rocky De La Fuente.
I'm the best kept secret.
You're the best kept secret. Why are you the best kept secret?
Because the debates are by invitation only. In the brown and black debates, by the way, I'm brown. I know I don't look brown, but in the black and brown debate, which was in Iowa, it's in Drake University, they basically invited only 3 people: Sanders, Hillary, and O'Malley. Dr. Wilson from Chicago and myself from California were not invited. It was a brown and black debate. Now, today, 4 days ago, I asked for the resignation of Debbie Wasserman Schultz. She's fixing the election. She's rigging the election. She's committing fraud on the American people, and she's hurting the party. They rigged the election. I have proof. They rigged the election in New Hampshire. And they rigged the election, and all the primaries are being rigged. They stole over 20,000 votes from me in Texas, in just one single county, Travis County. We are Americans. We deserve better. She's destroying the party.
This is the 3rd presidential candidate for the Democratic nomination. They tried to freeze him out, lock us out. The people decided to put Rocky De La Fuente on the ballot in Michigan. What we're trying to figure out is, how come our party is not giving him equal time, equal say, so the people can have the 3rd option and be aware. There's something about politics in this state and this country that is very divisive, that is very disingenuous and inauthentic. What we're saying is, if the people decide to put this man on the ballot in Michigan, then he should get equal time, and they should have the opportunity to investigate and make a decision for themselves. There are 3 options: Clinton, Bernie, and Rocky.
At the Whiting Auditorium outside of the Democratic debate, where, I mean, we didn't get a chance to go inside, obviously, because we were out there in the streets with you, because that's what You Choose News is all about. Now, there's still so much to talk about. We still have to elect a new president. The Flint water crisis is obviously ongoing. And hey, I mean, who knew there's a 3rd candidate, Mr. Rocky De La Fuente? But more importantly, and moving on, we need your story. So make sure you guys comment below. Email us, the letter U, the word choose, the word mail, @gmail.com. I'm Toy Monet Creel with You Choose News. When you know better, you do better. You choose.